launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into another edition of the JP Peterson Show. Look who's back. What you can't see is the boot on his foot. Yeah, you think I was going to keep that quiet? You're injured, but at least he came to work today. He's probably got a broken foot. He's walking with a boot, and he came to work today because he knew my head would explode if he didn't come to work today. So thank you for coming to work today. I appreciate the effort.
you thought I got a new car this morning.
I'm like, wow, he's pulled up in a Honda. Wow, sweet.
No, it was like I was going.
New wife, new car. Oh wait, new foot.
New foot, yeah. It was like I was going back to school again. Mom took me to work, picked me up, took me to work. Grandparents are picking me up today because this is my right foot and I cannot drive.
Wow.
I can hardly walk. I have this boot on. It's not great. It's not great. But
and I would love to tell you guys that this is some spectacular story from Antigua where he was wrestling a 12-foot wingspan devil ray to save your young wife from absolute peril, and you got hit with the barb of the. But no, that's not the story, is it?
No. Unfortunately, I did something that my now wife does not enjoy that I do, and that's playing hockey. And I did get hurt.
You got hurt.
I got hurt playing hockey yesterday.
Street hockey
yesterday, and it's not great.
Slammed into the boards.
She's not happy. Mom's not happy.
Happens.
I'm not happy, but you know what?
It happens.
You still got to go to work, though.
You got to go to work.
Go to work. That's what I told you. I said I've already missed too many days.
Well, thank you for being here. And I'm sure the fans out there are glad that you're back.
There's a lot that's happened since I've been gone.
My God,
and the fact that I had no TV in Antigua.
How did you survive with no TV?
I have no idea. I walked into this little cabana and I looked around. I panned. I opened some things because sometimes they have them in those like dressers.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't see anything. Nothing.
In case you knew the whole time.
Oh, she knew the whole time. There was going to be no TV, and she just wanted to see my reaction when I walked in. And then I'm looking around, okay, well, surely I'm going to have, like, some power outlet.
You're going to be here for a week.
Yeah. And then I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, power outlets. Looking around. One power outlet in the whole room.
In the whole room?
In the whole room, and not next to the bed.
Wow. How did you survive?
You know what it taught me? It taught me that we
survival skills.
Survivor skills. It did. Human interaction got me by for the whole week.
Oh my God! How did you do it?
And I don't know. That's not really my style usually, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was getting down with the Antiguans. They're very nice.
Yeah.
Very hospitable over there.
Yeah, that's good. You felt safe too and everything.
Yeah, I felt very safe. I didn't leave the resort though.
Yeah.
I will say we had like a 40-minute drive from the airport to the resort,
right.
And I saw the whole countryside, and I was like, okay, we're gonna stay in the resort.
Yeah.
So I did not leave the resort, but on the resort I felt perfectly okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back.
Yep.
Even if it is with a broken foot, but we're glad you're back. Yes, lots has happened today. Baker Mayfield, by the way, will be introduced as the Buccaneers. Can we say new starting quarterback? Can we say that he's going to be the starter? Kyle Trask would certainly take issue with that. But he will be introduced today at 1 o'clock at a press conference, so we will be there, and we'll bring that to you. So we'll keep your eye on our social media. We'll have emergency press conferences and all kinds of fun stuff after that. But what are your we've talked about Baker and this opportunity. As I recall, you weren't a big fan of it.
I did not see the fit originally because I just was trying to kind of read the tea leaves of what Dave Canales had said, and he wanted, the game manager and all that stuff. And I don't know, Baker Mayfield's kind of had the turnover bug for the last couple seasons. So I didn't get game manager out of that, guy that's going to play pitch and catch and things like that. And also, if he's not the starter, he doesn't come off like the guy that's going to be like, oh, let me help you out, Kyle. Let me show you what I know and, be very supportive and all those. He doesn't strike me as that guy.
Right.
I might have the totally wrong read. He might have matured more. I don't know.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that, honestly.
Know that. Yeah.
I do know.
My sense is that he has matured, and that wouldn't be an issue because if anybody knows he's one snap away, it's him.
Yeah.
And you better be prepared, and you better help out the other guy. You better be a good teammate because none of that stuff – and if he wasn't a good teammate, I think by now that would be around the league, and the Bucs would be a little bit more hesitant to sign him. They've done their research on Baker. He's been a backup the last couple years, or at least last season. And, obviously when they brought in Deshaun Watson, I wasn't thrilled with the way he handled that whole thing. I would have been like, hey, well, he's not gonna be here for 12 games, so I want to go out and ball out as much as I can, and then if you want to bring him in, and when I'm done balling out, fine. And I think Cleveland didn't want him there either. To be quite honest, I think that was part of a mutual parting of the ways. So maybe that wasn't even an option for him, frankly. We don't know the inside scoop of that, but if Cleveland was like, yeah, we'd rather you move on anyway, then I don't blame him for taking that attitude. So these are all things that we get, preconceived notions from outside, what we're reading, what we're seeing. But as you know, when national people talk about the Buccaneers and what's going on here, 9 times out of 10 they're completely wrong because
True.
What narrative has come out of here from what sources they're reading or whatever. It's just not correct, right? So I don't want to make blanket assumptions on what went down in Cleveland because I wasn't there and I couldn't really read exactly what was going on, some of the nuances of that. So let's let Baker Mayfield come in here and give us a press conference. Let's ask him some pointed questions about how he will handle different roles. Let's see what his answers are, and let's go from there. You know, it's like in a new relationship, you don't want to go talk to the ex. You're probably going to get a bad read on what went down, right? If it was good, they'd still be together. So that's probably bad information to talk to the ex. So let's talk to the person one-on-one, get a feel for where he's coming from, and then we'll go from there. I just, I from the very beginning, I looked at his skill set, and I said, I think this could be a fit here because, especially with Dave Canales coming in here, Baker does exactly what the LA Rams have asked Matthew Stafford to do, Jared Goff to do, Geno Smith to do in that same offense that Canales ran in Seattle. And he's an athletic guy. And it was interesting. I was watching some tape this morning. They were on Good Morning Football. They were showing the pre-draft workouts of all the big-time quarterbacks, the number 1 overall picks. They went back to Johnny Manziel because Bryce Young is doing his workout today. And went back to Johnny. Remember Johnny Manziel shows up in shoulder pads? And it was like George Bush was there. It was like this huge fiasco. And he looked great, of course. And as we know, that didn't work out so well. And these pre-draft workouts can be a complete sham. But the bottom line is Baker Mayfield put on an unbelievable one, and that's why he became the number 1 overall pick. I mean, Baker Mayfield's an incredible story. I always thought that he was one of these highly recruited Texas guys, but he wasn't.
No.
He only had 2 D1 offers, and his dad basically said, why are you going to go to Washington State? Screw that. You've always wanted to play for Texas or Texas Tech or somewhere in Texas. So he walks on to Texas Tech and beats out all these, 5-star guys. Maybe not all, but a few 5-star guys. Becomes the starting quarterback, then goes to Oklahoma, wins the Heisman Trophy. I mean, this guy's accomplished a lot in his career at the collegiate level. And his NFL career has been checkered with 5 different head coaches in Cleveland.
Yeah.
4 different coordinators. No consistency whatsoever to game plans or organization. Goes to Carolina and what was a disaster there. So, I mean, I think Baker Mayfield probably could have gotten more money somewhere else, certainly. I mean, Drew Lock got more money than Baker Mayfield did, but he chose to come to Tampa Bay because he knows this is the best opportunity for him to rehab his career and to do a Geno Smith. So I see this as a really good fit. It's complementary in so many ways. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you mentioned the Geno Smith thing. I will say there's a lot of people. Like I still had Twitter, even though I had no TV. I still had Twitter, and I still see a lot of people who are like, "Oh, who's going to be the next Geno Smith? And can it be Baker Mayfield or any of these other reclamation kind of project quarterbacks that a lot of them got signed this offseason?" I don't see that happening necessarily. I mean, has there ever been a Geno Smith before Geno Smith? Realistically,
Drew Brees could be considered one.
But he wasn't 31. He was 26 whenever he.
Yeah.
People are comparing the Drew Brees situation actually to the Baker Mayfield situation.
Right.
If you go and look at their numbers and kind of the situation, the injury history a little bit, and you compare it to Baker Mayfield, it's almost identical. So people are trying to use that. But I see people saying, oh, can Canales pull a Geno Smith and all this stuff? I don't think Baker Mayfield is all of a sudden just going to turn into a Pro Bowl quarterback or borderline.
Nobody thought that about Geno.
Nobody brought that about Geno Smith, but I'm just saying I have a lot of kind of past history to show me that there really hasn't been many examples
It's
of
hard
it.
to do.
It's really hard to
It's
do.
hard to do.
What I will say about Baker, it kind of is unfortunate. I feel like we just talked about like preconceived notions and the narratives out there, right? That feel like to me it almost doomed him because 2020 is not that far removed. We're not that far removed from 2020 necessarily. No. And that year he was 26 touchdown, 8 picks, and he led the Browns to the first playoff appearance in 20 years.
Yeah.
2021
and won a game.
2021 he got hurt early in the year. Shoulder injury.
Left shoulder.
And he played through it.
Yep.
And he wasn't right. That was clear.
And he shouldn't have.
He probably shouldn't have played, but it was that quick. He plays through an injury, and the Browns say, you know what, we don't want you anymore.
Right.
We're going to go pay $250 million to Sean Watson. And then he gets the opportunity with Carolina. He was like lame duck situation with a lame duck head coach and Matt Rule, and 7 games in, they cut him. Like, if you think about it, it's almost unfortunate a little bit how quick things have changed for Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely.
And he was able to kind of get some of his stock back up a little bit for the little 4-game cameo that he had with the Rams.
And think about that for a second. Look what he did there.
Yeah.
He was down 16-3 to the Raiders on, I believe it was a Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
And in fourth quarter. He'd been in the Rams camp had 2 practices. He led an 80-yard drive where he went 6 for 8 for 80 yards down the field, a game-winning drive.
And he looked the part.
And he looked the part.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I went back and looked at that game, and at the end of the game, the beginning of the game was not great. But the end of the game, I'm like, this dude can play quarterback in the NFL. Like, he's athletic enough, has the arm, has the ability to do it. I mean, he's a talent. There is no doubt about it. And, a lot of it has been attitude or misperception of attitude. Again, horrible organization he was with. And if there's ever a guy that needs a fresh start, it's him. And this situation seems really, really good for him as well. Because I start looking at this offense, and I was talking with some of my buddies playing golf the other day, and they was like, "You excited about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, think about it. First of all," and they're like, "Well, you're going to go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. You think it's going to be better?" I'm like, "That's the thing right there. Everybody says that. It's like, oh, no way. That wasn't Tom Brady last year, people. That was."
And here's the thing: you have to temper your expectations because of where the Bucs
That
are.
was a broken down Brett Favre in his last year. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah, but you have to temper the expectations too. Everybody's like caught up on that. Oh, he's going to be the guy to really, succeed Tom Brady, and it's like, well, what's the option? Who are the options?
Kyle Trask. But here's the point to that: is when you say that sentence, it sounds like, oh, we're just going to crater. I'm like, no.
Listen,
our offense was 27th in the league last year.
Yeah.
That wasn't Tom Brady. That's what you should say is like, we're going to go from the 27th ranked offense to be better. Yeah, we are. As a matter of fact, with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, a healthy Russell Gage, a really good running back in Rashad White that was completely misused. Kate Otten, you're going to draft some offensive pieces. You got what I think is the makings of a really good offensive line, certainly above average offensive line. You've got new leadership. You don't have a brain dead offensive coordinator that's more intent on doing what he wants to do and showing everybody how smart he is than actually moving the football. I mean, you've got a quarterback who's played in this league who can move and run RPOs and run waggles and run bootlegs, which completely opens up the field for all these talented weapons that you have. And a running game that's going to be 10 times better because everybody doesn't know exactly when you're going to run and exactly when you're going to throw. That puts doubt in the linebackers' minds where they have to read, run, pass like all these other offenses in the league. Hell yeah, I'll guarantee you, I'll bet the freaking house that this offense is going to be markedly better. I think it could be a top 10 offense, no question about it.
I don't know if I can get to top 10.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can get to top 10, but
it's not that far.
It's going to be a pretty drastic philosophy change, and we know Todd Bowles wanted to run the ball. That's no secret. No matter he could say that, I left the offense to Brady and Leftwood. No, he wanted to run the ball, right?
Right.
And as Baker, when has he succeeded in the NFL? It's when he had Nick Chubb behind him.
Exactly.
It's when he had Kareem Hunt behind him. That's the recipe, and you see what the Bucs have already done.
Throwing the ball 25 to 30 times a game.
Yes, 25, 30
not
times.
45 times a game.
Exactly. And I think, that means Rashad White is probably in play. Like, if you're doing fantasy drafts this year, I mean, I know we're only in March, but my goodness, have Rashad White on your radar.
Yes.
They go and get Chase Edmonds, which I think is a sneaky pickup for the league minimum.
Too. Yeah.
That dude, he can scoot.
Yeah, he can
Okay,
scoot.
I
And
really
he can catch. He can block. Pick up blitzes.
Yeah, I think he was a little underused or whatever worked out. It didn't work out in Miami, but I saw a lot of him in Arizona, and he was really good in Arizona.
He really was.
So I'm excited about that, and I think they're probably going to add something in the draft, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
And pretty high, actually, because I think they
For a running back? No.
I wouldn't put it past them.
No.
I wouldn't put it past them.
No. Absolutely, 1,000%.
I'm not okay. I'm not saying
Rashad White is my
I'm not
first
saying.
round
I'm
running
not saying
back.
I'm not saying Bijan Robinson.
No,
I'm not
no,
putting that out
no,
there.
that's just dumb.
Because there's a lot of Bucs fans who are like, why don't we draft him at 19? No, I'm not saying that.
We need an edge rusher.
But I'm saying, like, if it's like the third round and there's somebody you really like there, I'll consider
Well, the thing
it.
is, you can get an explosive running back in the 6th round.
You can get him anywhere.
Pacheco was the 7th round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get explosive running backs anywhere in the draft. And it's a great tight end draft. I would love to see them go get one of these big multifaceted tight ends to help this offense, because right now you don't have a tight end that can set the edge.
Yep.
I know everybody loves Keith. He's great story, but he's not big enough. He's not big enough, and he can't catch the ball very well.
I don't want to have to play
The
as much as he did
opportunities
last year.
the only opportunities he got to catch the ball, he didn't do it very well.
They need a natural pass catcher, one of these hyper athletic tight ends, because that's where the league's going.
Right.
And I think K.
Right.
Dotton showed some progress last year. Maybe even if he stalled out a little bit, he hit a little rookie roadblock later.
I don't think
he's not
ever
athletic
gonna,
enough.
Well, I think he's athletic enough.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he's big enough to block in this league. He's so skinny. He's a skinny kid, and he'll be thrown around. You can't count on him to block an outside linebacker or a defensive end. You just can't. He's going to get blown up. And in that situation, you can't run the football if you got a guy. It's not that he can't dominate. That's not what he can't. But he can't. He's going to get pushed back into the backfield 3-4 yards. Watch him try to block. He can't block. And not at the NFL level, not unless he puts on about another 25 pounds.
Yeah. So as I sit here today and I look at all the moves the Bucs have made, I really like the ones for the I believe it's Gaines, right, from the Rams.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another sneaky
Plugger.
move because he's still got a lot of growth to his game. Just 26, he can get to the passer, and they get some youth there next to Vita Vea. So I like that move. They lost Bunting this morning, I believe, to the Titans. We can manage that.
Bye-bye.
But you're able to get back Jamel Dean Levante. It seems to me right now, if they stay at 19, edge, or if safety, Brian Branch has been the name floated out if he drops. But
good with that.
I would love to see them trade back. The more I look at it, and I've kind of played around with like these like mock draft machines and everything, and I know like there's only so much realism you can get in those, but there's a lot of opportunities for them to trade back maybe multiple times between picks 19 and 100, somewhere in that range. If you made 2 trades and you can accumulate all these draft picks, there's a lot of talent there, and I think you can walk out with a scenario where maybe you can get 3 picks in the top 60.
Yeah.
And you can come out with one of these edge rushers. You can come out with one of these tight ends
and
a safety.
Ugh.
If you can get that to
Fart
me,
and confetti, we do that.
if you can get 3 picks in the top 60, and this is best case scenario, 3 picks in the top 60, and you come away with an edge, a safety, and a tight end, I think that to me is best scenario for the Bucs.
I totally agree, 100%. And those guys will probably step in and start day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, JTS. Bye-bye. Or at least work harder. Get bigger, get stronger. And that's what forces, you know what will force JTS to get bigger and stronger? Draft a guy to take his place and see how fast he gets bigger and stronger.
And I was going to ask you about that because also, too, I don't know if you expected the Bucs to bring back Anthony Nelson. I did not. I thought that he was going to actually get more money on the free agency market. Now, I thought he got a pretty good contract, not one that I thought the Bucs were going to give him.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I were the Bucs. I think that's the one contract where I kind of was scratching my head a little bit because I wanted to get a little bit more athletic in that department. And I love Anthony. He's a workhorse. You know, he can get to the passer as a situational guy, but I just don't see
his numbers are good for a backup. Semi-starter. You know, his numbers are 11.5 sacks last 2 years. That's not too shabby. It's not too shabby when you look around the league and the pressures. He's a better player than people think. I'm just going to say that. He's a better player than people think. He plays with leverage. I think he's one of our better we don't set the edge well anywhere, but he's probably one of the better guys to do it. So I'm not saying he's elite in any way in that shape or form, but he's okay. I think that contract was okay. I didn't have a problem with him, especially because we need to bring back those guys to field a competent defense. I'm still worried about the defense. I'm worried about the offense too. There's a lot to. I think the offense has pieces to be a top 10 offense. I really, really do. I think I just do. it's better than people think, and it's because this mentality of you lost Tom Brady. That wasn't Tom Brady last year, so we didn't lose anything. We lost a 45-year-old quarterback who couldn't play last year. He couldn't. He just couldn't. So it is what it is. And now you bring somebody in who's younger, who's more mobile, who can throw the football, can move around, with a new offensive system that complements what you're doing defensively. It's not as dysfunctional as it was last year. Everything was dysfunctional last year. All that dysfunction you've kind of eliminated already.
Yeah.
Because you're starting over.
Yeah, and you're
in a lot of places.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that would cause you to pause is I still look at the offensive line right now, and I'm not saying I don't think the offensive line can be better, because I think it obviously will.
Yeah.
But at this moment, as we sit before the draft, and we still have free agency going on as well, right, with like the third tier kind of guys, I still don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if Tristan Wirfs is going over to left tackle. I don't know. And listen, I like to think that Tristan Wirfs can make that transition easily, but I've been starting to kind of hear a lot of people who have played the game and saying, for all the people that keep saying that he's just going to slide over there and it's going to be seamless and all that, it ain't the way.
Okay.
Because
I would counter that by saying, how many rookie right tackles come in, win a Super Bowl, and give up 0 sacks in their first season?
Not many.
And make a Pro Bowl. And the second year, give up 1 sack and become an All-Pro. How many?
Not many.
Okay. So they're right. It's not easy. Most mortals can't do it. He's not mortal.
He's not mortal.
I've seen him jump out of
a
swimming pool.
I'm not saying that I don't think he can do it. I'm just listening to all these other people that are saying that, it's really not that easy because it's like using your right hand for 5 years, whatever it is, and now all of a sudden someone tells you, you got to do the same thing, but you got to do it with your left now, right?
No, it's not easy.
It's not going to be easy, and probably there's going to be much better pass rushers on that side, things like that. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just putting it out there. But obviously you move into left tackle, that opens up the whole right tackle. Clearly they're going young on the line too by the Shaq Mason trade, which I feel like they were almost they didn't really have an option there.
Right. Just money-wise.
Money-wise.
Yeah, right.
I think they would have loved to have him, but the money just didn't add up. And so now they bring back Steny. They're going to give him another shot. Leverett in there as well. I mean, do they put Hainsey out at right tackle? There's still questions here. Do they draft? I just mentioned my battle plan. What if they go tackle high? If they love one of these tackles.
If they like one of these offensive tackles and they can play left tackle and you draft him in the first round, I got no problem with that. You draft an offensive lineman in the first round that you think he's elite, I got no problem with that. Especially if one's falling down the board because of all the the quarterbacks that are going and people are jumping up to grab wide receivers or whatever they're doing. If there's a run and they forget about offensive linemen and a tackle falls to you, hell yes. You should never ever pass on a elite offensive lineman in the first round. Ever. And yeah, then you just become that much better on the offensive line for years to come.
Yeah.
If you could draft a good tackle and have bookend tackles right and left, because now, look, left tackle is more important than right tackle when you have a right-handed quarterback. Okay, we all know that. But it's less important these days because of the way you move the quarterback. Okay, right tackles are still very, very important. You still have elite rushers coming off of that edge. That's a very important position. But it is, systemically, traditionally, a left tackle's more important for that reason. So if you can draft 2 tackles, I'm all in on that. Anytime you're drafting elite linemen in the first or second rounds, which is where you find them, it's much harder to find elite linemen later on in the draft. It just is. So, yeah, I'm good with that too. But I just think that people don't understand, I think, how dysfunctional this offense was last year. And they're going to find, and Casey Hudson was on with us on Friday, and she's a good friend with Carmen Vitale, who covers the NFC South as well, and obviously covered the Bucs and was inside the organization for many, many years, knows a lot of these players on a personal level. And she said, without naming names, there were, I don't know if it was many or a few, but there were players that were tired of the whole Tom Brady thing. They were tired of it. They were tired of the drama. They were tired of the questions. They were tired of all of it. And I get that. And we talked about that last year during the season. There was a lot of body language that said that. There were whispers from people that I know that were saying that. Nobody wants to say that out loud because you don't want to get on the wrong side of Tom Brady for the legacy things, down the road. But folks, it's a real thing. I mean, he's not Jesus. He's not, he does, and he has faults, and had a lot of them missteps in my mind in the last couple of years. Last year with the Buccaneers, and every one of his teammates knew that he wanted to go play in Miami. I told you that from the very beginning. If you don't think that was a thing, you're wrong. And so when he came back, they welcomed him with open arms, but they didn't get the Tom Brady that they had the first 2 years. So that's how dysfunctional it was last year. So when you're comparing last year to what's going to happen this year, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, especially with a competent quarterback like Baker Mayfield, competent. Now listen, if he starts throwing picks all over the place, we got issues.
But I don't even think that he's like, look at the money they gave him. $4 million guaranteed, up to $8 million incentives, I believe. And you mentioned like Drew Lock got more money than him. Jacoby Brissett, who I thought was my 1A option, got I think more than half of what he got. I think he got 1 year, $8 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got double of what Baker Mayfield got. He's coming in here, and I think that contract to me tells me that this is going to be a competition. This is not, by no means, is Baker Mayfield the starting quarterback today.
No.
No, and that's barring Jason Light going up there and today and saying, listen, here's our new starting quarterback, which he's not going to do that. But to me, this is going to be a competition that we're going to see up until the preseason. Through the preseason, this is going to be the first time you think about it that we're going to see Kyle Trask playing against competent players in this league for an extended period. We're going to see it in the preseason at least, and we're going to get a good look at it. So I think this is going to be a competition all the way out. I don't think this is Baker's job at all right now, and I think that contract warrants it because $4 million, that's not even close to starting money. Look at what Taylor Heineke got. Look at what Brissett got. Look at these other guys. Those guys, to me, I could see them being named the starter right now based on their contract. Baker, I don't think so.
Well, what it tells me is Baker said, that's the job I want because that's the job that gets me the Geno Smith contract next year. That's why he's coming to Tampa. He's looking at it not for this year, money-wise. He could have got more money other places. He's looking at it as that's the place where I can go and have a great year because of the offensive line, because of the receivers, because of the running back. He sees it. He's not dumb. He sees it, and he's like, hell yeah, I can thrive in that offense. And then he gets the net. Listen, if Baker Mayfield comes in here, he could the Bucs not win the NFC South next year? Of course they can.
Oh, I still believe as we sit here today, and Carolina is obviously beefing up right now.
They're making moves.
And they're not done.
No.
They are not done.
We don't know what they're going to do with that first-round pick. I hope they take Bryce Young.
It's probably going to be – I think – isn't there something going on there? I think the owner wants Bryce Young, and I think Reich is in love with Stroud. It's something like that. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be younger Stroud, though. So you're going to put that rookie quarterback around a lot of really good pieces. So Carolina's intriguing, right?
They are.
I think Atlanta is a lot better than what their record said it was last year.
They should have swept the Bucs.
And then New Orleans, we know, has beefed up, obviously, with Derek Carr. But I think the Bucs – I said this before I went away, and I still feel the same way now. I think all these teams are probably all around the same kind of territory right now. I don't think just because the Saints have Derek Carr, they're – I mean, are they the team to beat, theoretically? Yes. Because they have the best quarterback right now.
They have the most established quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. But would it surprise me if they didn't finish first? No.
No, of course not. It's going to come down to a lot of injuries. I'll tell you what else is very interesting, and we should start handicapping this as well, is, okay, and we'll do this more in a breakdown probably after the draft because, well, we could do a pre-draft and then post-draft as well. But think about, we talk about quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks. Who's got the best quarterback in the division right now? It's a complete toss-up. We have no idea what these offenses are going to look like, what weapons they're going to have. Let me ask you this: rank the head coaches, coaching situations in the NFC South. Let's rank those right now. Exactly. Like you're like Arthur Smith. I like what he did last year. That team played hard, and they're physical. Their running attack is going to grow and grow and grow, just like the Titans. That they got some quarterback competition. I like what Desmond Ridder did. I think their defense is still shiz. So they've got a ways to go defensively. But Arthur Smith, I like, as a head coach, I like what I've seen.
Well, my ticks against him at the moment is figure out how to get Kyle Pitts involved and then come back to me.
Yeah, well,
my one,
yeah,
that's
absolutely,
my one thing right now with him.
100%. His running game impresses me.
Because he's from Tennessee.
You don't win a Super Bowl with a running game.
No, but he came from Tennessee.
Right.
He had Derrick Henry. He wants to run the football, but you got to get Kyle Pitts involved. So that's my big kind of check on him, or kind of X on him at the moment.
Okay, go to Frank Reich.
Frank Reich, to me, would probably be my number one at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I've seen him win games in Indianapolis, and I think he had to deal with. Can I call Jim Irsay the most hostile owner in the league? Is that fair? Or Dan Snyder takes the cake, actually. The second most hostile owner in the league, I think, is Jim Irsay, probably.
I don't know if hostile is the right word.
Yeah, I'm looking for the right word here.
Intrusive.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, intrusive would be better. I just, he gets too involved, and when they're just
that's
like
the way
Jerry
to put
Jones,
it. He's going to say he's in the Jerry Jones category.
He's too involved, and Frank Reich was also the one that went to bat, if I'm not mistaken, for Carson Wentz.
I understand it, though, because he had Carson Wentz at Philly, and he almost won an MVP if he didn't tear his ACL.
Right.
So I get it. He got burned there. But they went the veteran quarterback route a lot there in Indianapolis. And I think that's ultimately what killed Frank Reich. And he also stepped into a situation, I believe, when Andrew Luck was there and decided to retire out of nowhere, which didn't help. And they still won games. So I like Frank Reich. I don't know where I put Todd Bowles on this list necessarily. I feel like Todd Bowles, Dennis Allen, and Arthur Smith is a complete toss-up. I don't know.
Well, when you look at records, winning percentage, I'm guessing Todd Bowles is very much at the bottom of that.
Probably.
Yeah. And from as I've said many, many times, I love the human being more than I can tell you. He's a great dude and a great defensive coordinator. His performance as a head coach has been bleak, to say the least. And last year was another example of that. And it was one of the reasons that I was very concerned to see how he was going to perform as a head coach. And how can you give him passing grades on what happened last year? Accountability was down dramatically. Again, the Brady quote, "Our game day effort is embarrassing." I mean, that's the biggest indictment you could have of a head coach, quite frankly. And that's Brady's, obviously, his opinion, maybe not the opinion of others, but we saw the games. I would agree with him. Accountability, effort lacking, game management terrible. How many places do we need to go here? I mean, Todd Bowles has to dramatically improve as a head coach. There's no question about it. And for him to save his job, he has to dramatically improve as a head coach. There were things going against him last year, but there were things in his power he could have done to change it. He could have fired Byron Leftwich. He chose not to.
Yeah.
To me, he has a hard time making hard decisions with players, with benching players who aren't performing, with recognizing the right players who should be playing, managing the game, time management, all these things that are critical to good head coaching. He was not good at. I would love to sit here and say, yes, the players love playing for him. Jamel Dean came back for Todd Bowles. The players love playing for him, but that doesn't make you a good head coach, because sometimes when the players like you, they don't play as hard as they should.
Yeah.
When the players fear you, sometimes they play a lot better. And I don't think these players fear him whatsoever.
Yeah.
There has to be an element of fear from that head coach to make you play at your best. And Todd Bowles, I don't get the sense that these players fear him at all.
Well, remember the Bucs put out that video kind of late in the season?
Yes.
And I think it was Sean Murphy-Bunting who might have said it. He's the kind of guy that you hate to mess up. You don't want to mess up and everything in front of him because you're going to get your ass chewed and things like that.
Yeah.
That felt like one of those videos that they put out because they heard everybody criticizing him for this and all that and not being that guy.
And then when they had him mic'd up, I guess it was supposed to show his hard side of him, and it kind of showed the opposite to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't get as worked up about those things anymore necessarily because at the end of the day, I don't know what the correlation is to wins and losses. But I will just tell you, we're talking a lot about Todd Bowles today, and I think rightfully so, because we can talk all we want about what the offense is going to look like with Dave Canales and having a fresh mind. And we could talk all we want about Baker Mayfield being able to move and all these weapons. And we could talk about Todd Bowles' defense. But Todd Bowles as a head coach is still very valuable in the NFL, as we learned this year, right? I mean, Mike Tomlin is still taking these teams to like 8 and 9 wins every year because he's one of the best head coaches of all time.
Do you think those players fear Mike Tomlin?
Oh, absolutely. My point there is my point there.
But they also love him.
My point there is I don't know if coaching staffs. I think I've heard this saying before: is coaching staffs players win games, but coaches can lose you some games. I believe too.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think Todd Bowles kind of played a role in some of those games that they lost last year, because of the things he can control. And like I said, this is not just cherry picking 1 year. He's had 5 years or 6 years as a head coach, I believe, to figure this out, and he hasn't been able to do it. So to me, what the Bucs' success is going to look like in 2023, we can't just give Todd Bowles a pass right now and say, oh, it's on the players and all this stuff. Todd Bowles is a major part of this because he's never been a successful head coach.
Right.
Like, I hate to say that because we love the guy. But if we were just talking about ranking the head coaches in the NFC South, if I was to broaden it a little bit and say go 1 through 32, and I'm not going to do that right now, I'd venture to say he'd probably be in that 25 to 32 range.
Absolutely.
And how many of the teams down there with those head coaches are going to win anything?
Nothing. I mean, look.
That's just a fact, folks.
Right. It is. And yeah, we're not going to belabor this point, but he needs to be much better. And he needs to change his coaching style, in my mind. He needs to not be the player's friend.
Yeah.
He needs to
and
be.
if you want to run the ball, if that's what you want to do, and I like I said earlier in the show, he definitely wanted to do that last year. That's now public. That's out in the public for everybody to know. If that's what you really wanted to do, then establish that like immediately this time. Let's do it.
And I said this last year during the season. Listen, you're the effing head coach. He probably didn't feel like it last year, honestly. If we can, and I'm not giving him a pass on this, but the ex head coach has an office down the hall, right? He's still in the building, Bruce Arians. He were given the head coaching job because of some whatever. We weren't privy to the inside information, whether Brady pushed Bruce Arians out, and as part of Bruce leaving, he said, I get to pick my successor. If Brady wants me out, then I get to pick my successor. Todd Bowles wasn't hired after an extensive coaching search. Todd Bowles wasn't getting any other jobs around the league. He was, remember?
I don't even know if he had interviewed for
He
any.
was interviewing for jobs in the past couple of years. Yes, he went on interviews. He did not get the jobs. And was he going? And defensive head coaches, look at the trend in the league. Defensive head coaches are not winning championships, right? I mean, well, I'm trying to think about it right now. It's just not.
I mean, Belichick's been the only exception for recently.
Belichick is you take him out of the equation, and of course they've won most of the Super Bowls. I get it, but Brady was the antithesis of that, right? So. The balance of that. So it's not, he wasn't going to get another job, and he got this job. Did he get this job based on his merit as a head coach of what he did in New York? No, he got this job based on he was here. The players loved him. Arians wanted him to get a shot, and he got his shot. And he did not deliver in that role. And one of the main reasons he didn't deliver is because he wasn't strong enough to fire Byron Leftwich, who was not doing what he wanted to do. You're the head coach. Effing fire him.
Yeah. Overall, to me, it was just a miscalculation from the top down of the importance of a head coach and how that whole kind of transition was going to be. Like, I think everybody thought it was going to be seamless. Like, oh, we're not going to touch the offense. It's going to be the same.
I did.
Todd's going to – we all said it, right?
I did. No, I think I did say he's got to be a better head coach. Let's see how he game manages.
But we weren't talking about that. We weren't talking about that now like we are right now.
No.
Because
I wanted to be fair to him.
Yeah, we wanted to be fair. We wanted to see it.
But we did bring it up and say, look, he doesn't have a great track record as a head coach.
No, and I saw what I saw. And if the difference is if last year was his first year as a head coach, I could have some slack with you a little bit. You know, we could have some leeway. But again, 6 years as a head coach, I know what Todd Bowles is.
Yeah,
and I mean,
it's a lot.
Old habits die hard, right?
Yeah, and I'd sense a little difference in him at the combine. I wasn't there, but just in the interviews and whatnot, we sense a little bit of difference.
Yeah,
and,
there is.
And I've said this a long time. You got to have some a-hole in you to be a good head coach, and I don't know if he does. He's too nice. He's just too nice a guy. He's a great guy. And guys, I don't think guys fear him the way they feared Bruce Arians. I don't think they certainly knew he wasn't going to air them out in public like Bruce did. And I don't know what goes on. I mean, we're told behind the scenes he rips people, but does he rip people? I don't know. I haven't seen it. So it's just different. And all you have to do is go on his performance and his record, and it's not good. So he's got to be better. He's got to be better. I hope he can be. Nobody's pulling for him harder than me and Bucs fans and everybody. I would love to see Todd Bowles succeed, and he's going to have that opportunity to do it unencumbered this time. You've got your staff. You've got an experienced football team. You've got some talent on this team. So, it's like we said, right now, this division, I don't give the edge to anybody. To me, it's 4 teams that are just meh, right? Go prove something to me. Make your team play hard and physical and fast. Let me see an attitude on the team. Let me see accountability. Don't let me see people, blowing first day installs in a freaking playoff game and leaving CeeDee Lamb wide open. Don't let me see Cooper Kupp running down the middle of the field in the biggest play of the game of the last 2 years.
And I was going to say, I'll say this about Todd Bowles' defense. And even though I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, show me that your defense, without the greatest closer in the history of the game in Tom Brady.
That's right.
Show me that your defense go out there and dominated a game with Baker Mayfield / Kyle Trask at quarterback. Yeah. Show me that you can win games that way.
Yeah. It's on you.
If you're such a great defensive coordinator and your defense and the scheme is there, and I'm not trying to say he hasn't been doing that. I'm just saying it's a lot different when you have Tom Brady as the quarterback versus Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask.
And
what
against
it's going to look
good
like.
quarterbacks last year,
And
this
defense was
dog.
It was
dog
bad.
Poo.
It was bad.
Dog poo.
So show me how good it is.
Yeah.
So I think Todd Bowles, to me, has as much pressure on him as anybody in that building this year.
Now, I was looking at Frank Reich's head coaching record just to refresh your memory. 10-6 in his first year at Indianapolis, second in the NFC South. Lost to Kansas City in the divisional game. Second year, 7-9. Third in the AFC South. Third year, 2020, 11-5. Second in the AFC South, lost to Buffalo in the AFC wildcard game. And 9-8 in 2021, second in the AFC South. And then 3-5 and got fired.
And a different quarterback every year.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. 40-33, 547 winning percentage.
And he went 40-33.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I think Frank Reich has got a chance to be a good coach. I think what they're doing in Carolina is going to be as much about personnel as anything else. Who are they going to take? Are they going to trade back?
They just seem right now they're making all the right moves. Like I would have loved to have seen them give Steve Wilkes that opportunity, but I get it. Again, we went back to the defensive head coach, and there's a track record there with Steve Wilkes. There's a much better track record with Frank Reich. I get it. But I think right now they're just making like every move's the correct move, it feels like, for Carolina.
And they got a sneaky good move. Not even sneaky. They got Miles Sanders. Guy ran for 1,200 yards last year.
Yeah.
I mean.
And they got him on a pretty good deal, pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And
he ain't Christian McCaffrey, I get it, but he's pretty damn good.
They lose DJ Moore, obviously, but you make that deal 10 times out of 10 to get the quarterback of the future if you think you got the guy.
Yeah,
obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they bring Adam Thielen in. It looks like they want to bring in DJ Shark along with him as well, a guy that can take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
So they're setting themselves up to me.
Yeah, Thielen's interesting. They gave him a lot of money.
3-year, 25.
It's like they gave him as much as we gave Russell Gage.
And there's a lot more of a track record with Adam Thielen, even though there's a lot more miles on there, too.
Right. So I don't know how much he has left, but, they're going to be an interesting football team. So it's not like there's no pass for the NFC South this year. It's going to be a dogfight, and everybody's going to have to be at their best, including Todd Bowles and the quarterback. So, but it's fun. I can't wait to see this iteration of the Buccaneers. It's exciting to me. I can't wait for OTAs.
It feels like the old Bucs days. We're like starting over every year.
But I feel
it's like everything's
new
again.
Like I'm excited to see Baker versus Trask in OTAs. Like I'm going to be out there charting.
This is what's crazy.
7-on-7, 11-on-11.
This is crazy. I think Jason said this last week. This is the first, and he's been here for a decade now. This is the first time he's been here where there's an actual quarterback competition.
That's right. Yeah.
We've been through a lot of quarterback competitions with the Bucs, but for a decade here, we haven't had one. This is the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a lot of intrigue this time around.
Yeah, and I think they both have upside. And the new offensive coordinator, it could be really good. It could also be a disaster.
I'm about to say we're talking this up right now, but I'm like, let's be real though. This could go south real quickly.
Flip side is Kyle Trask is awful. Baker Mayfield's got nothing left. Canales has no idea what he's doing.
The line is somehow worse.
Just the worst. Can't play left tackle.
Mike Evans has played 10 years in the league, and now he's hit his wall.
All right, we just spent 41 minutes talking about how great the offense is going to be and shot it down in 30 seconds. Yeah, but you know what? This is the NFL, and that's what makes it intriguing. You know, like Mike Evans ain't going to fall off the. Mike Evans is going to be, in my mind, I think he's going to be a little bit revitalized with Tom, because his body language with Tom Brady was not good last year.
Well, they're still close. Though. I mean, they were hanging out at UFC.
I'm sure.
Listen, it was just close. Last year to me. I have to just kind of just. Yeah. It just what it is what it was.
Yeah, I think everybody will be renewed in that, and that is nothing against Tom Brady again, because it wasn't Tom Brady last year. It was an imposter. All right, we'll take a break here, and we'll come back on the other side, and we got to get into the Lightning last night with a 5-2 loss. We'll hear from John Cooper, some of the players. Not the end of the world, folks, but some of the same old bugaboos cropped up last night that we've seen, and Lightning ain't going nowhere until they fix those defensive lapses. So we'll hit that when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. If you've been injured in an accident, you know who to call. It's the Jeeves Law Group. And Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Chris Lugo will join us a little bit later on. We'll tell you why you should not go get a tummy tuck in Mexico for multiple reasons. We'll combine his military and medical backgrounds to give you that advice. When we come back, stay with us. Are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
Out, Graves find the net. Kind of whiffs on a clearing attempt. Kucherov blocks it right point. Penalty is up. Here's Stamkos left circle. High slide. Kucherov! Score! Kucherov! 100 points this year for Nikita Kucherov. Right.
That's his 100th point of the season and his third 100-point season, which is more than any player in Lightning history, and only 7 active players have 3 or more 100-point seasons.
He's pretty good.
That's pretty good. He's 27 years old.
Yeah.
The others are Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. Oh God, I was going to rely on my brain to do
I know
this,
they
but
showed
that
the
was a
they
bad-
showed
that
the
was a
list
bad
yesterday
plan.
on the Bally broadcast.
Yeah.
Let's just know that the who's who of the game are on there though.
Yeah.
Like
Really
Malkin
good.
was on there.
Malkin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and boy, he'll probably get to 5 or 6 of those just because of his playmaking ability. And I love to see him shoot that shot. That shot is so freaking good.
When he wants to shoot, yeah.
He's got 28 goals. He should have 48 goals.
Probably, yeah.
He should have 48 goals. But I'm not going to sit here and bitch about how Kucherov is playing. He's second in the league in points, or what? Second in assists, third in points.
He's catching up to Draisaitl, though.
Yeah,
He's right behind him now.
And he's doing everything he can to win games. The Lightning lose last night 5-2 after going up 2-0 in the second period. First period they played pretty well. Second period was just a disaster. That long change, and we talked a little bit about this on the last call last night with Brian Engblom. If you're not listening to that, I'm doing the post game show at 102.5.2. That's actually on the Big Bone.
That's on the Big Bone.
It's on the Big Bone. So you could listen to that on your way home, as opposed to years past on that crappy 970 where you couldn't hear anything. So yeah, Brian was talking about that long change in the second period. And our guys just don't change fast enough. We need to be better in changing, because that gave Jersey a couple of opportunities that ended up in the back of the net. And you know, one time last night, Chernak had an opportunity to step up on the shooter and kept backing up instead of challenging the guys when they cross the blue line and taking them on from a body standpoint. They try to stand in front of them and use their stick. Drives Chief nuts. And you saw, and Hedman did the same thing on Bratt's second goal, I think it was. It's come on. Like, you just can't keep backing up in the zone. At some point, you've got to take on the man, like Jersey does to, like Carolina does to us.
Yeah.
Like Jersey did last in our power play. 0 for 4 last night again, and 3 shots on goal in 4 power plays. The key power play, the third period, it's a 3-2 hockey game. We get a goal not disallowed, but Ian Cole hits the post and the thing freaking spins on its edge, dances all across the line, and doesn't go all the way over the line. That was tantalizing. But they get a power play. They can't even get it in the zone, because their 4 guys are standing at the blue line, and they keep trying to skate it in. And the 2 times that they dumped it in, they got possession for a little bit on those power plays. I mean, where's the quick adjustment? Where is that? I mean, you can't even get it set up in the power play. It's not gonna be very good.
Yeah, we went through this stretch 2-3 weeks ago where it just felt like the Lightning.
Yeah.
It's like they stopped playing last night.
Yeah.
For a stretch of that game. I mean, I was listening on the radio broadcast for a lot of it because I had to deal with this foot last night. But I was listening to Chief. They had him on last night in the intermission, and he was pretty fired up after the second period.
Yeah.
He's like, these guys aren't even playing.
Yeah.
He's like, they stunk the joint up in that second period. And it's true, and that's happened a lot this year. In the second periods, for whatever it is, that this team, that's usually been their kind of disaster period. I mean, you go up 2-0, and it's like, oh, okay, usually the Lightning, that's just the time now where they shut it down, right?
Yeah.
But to give up 3 goals in 5 minutes, and it was quick.
Less than 6 minutes.
It was quick.
Less than 6
minutes.
And
I think Vasilevsky would love to have maybe 2 of those back.
Yep.
Definitely the last one, the Heischer that goes right through the 5-hole.
Yeah, the other one he didn't see at all. It's just the second period is kind of like a microcosm of the season. Like you get up at the beginning of the games, right? You're ready to play. You go out there and they play. Then the second period comes, and that's where they get their lull, because it's just like, okay, it's the second period. It's not the last period when we know what we got to do. And then the third period, they always push back. Except last night, I didn't like their push at all last night. They look like a team that's got 16 games in March, has played 3 times in 5 days, 3 against the same opponent, who was not going to be beat 3 times.
Yeah.
And by the way, New Jersey is the best road team. I believe they're 17-4-1 on the road.
Ooh. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they came
in their last whatever.
In their last stretch. And they also came in on a 3-game losing streak. It's a very young team with a lot of really quick players, good players. I mean,
fresh legs.
Heischer, I thought, was fantastic. Yes, Jesper Bratt might have been the best player out there.
First hat trick.
We already know what Hughes and Meyer, who was the trade deadline superstar they got from San Jose.
It's going to help them.
I mean, that team's going to be a handle to deal with. I mean, they gave them a good fight. Was it Thursday night? My days are all mixed up here. Was it Thursday night,
Tuesday,
the overtime?
Look, those 2 wins were as good of wins as we've had on the road all year long.
Yeah, I think
the Lightning played really well,
this was a really good team, and they just played them 3 times in a week. And
they got 4 points.
And you got 4 out of 6 out of it. So it's can you really complain?
No, you can't. 2 of them were on the road, and you got 4 out of 6.
Yeah.
And the last one was on a back-to-back. Yeah, they were playing back-to-back too. I get it. And they had to travel, but not much. I get it. It's a lot, and they played a lot of freaking hockey.
Yeah. The schedule hasn't helped them, not necessarily here in March. I guess that's my only thing. I'm just because we're now in playoff mode.
Right.
We're looking towards that series with Toronto, and I'm just because of the schedule, the way it lied. I know it's not an excuse, but playing that many games. They've played the most games in the league, I believe, since the All-Star break.
Yep.
16 now in March. I mean, it's
Yep.
every other day. Is that going to wear on them when they get to – because by this time next month, we're in a playoff series against Toronto.
Yeah.
Is that going to wear on them? Which, by the way, I think they see Toronto in, like, the last game of the season.
April 4th.
Yeah,
I
so,
believe,
like,
yeah.
I think maybe, like, 5 days, 7 days before they play them in a series, they're going to see them in the regular season as well. So that's pretty interesting timing. But I just wonder if this little stretch is going to wear on them at all. Now, they've been kind of going – they've had their ups and downs through this stretch. I mean, they just went through a stretch where they were 4-1-1.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. But
No.
I'm just curious to see how the legs hold up.
Let's listen to John Cooper from last night illuminate on a couple of things I think he's worried about for his team for the postseason and some of the positive stuff. And then there's some thoughts on Andre Palat, by the way. Once again, amazing video, heart-tugging video.
That was the hardest one so far. That was the hardest one.
So many big goals. And, such a great defensive player as well. It's just guys like that they just keep showing up on championship teams, and it's not just happenstance. They're the glue. They are the glue. They come up with big plays. We talk about McDonough. We haven't learned how to play without McDonough. Maybe we haven't learned how to play without Andre Palat. He's as a big, and you look at his career numbers, like most game-winning goals in the playoffs for the Lightning by far.
It's him, Joe Pavelski, and Evgeny Malkin, I believe, of active players.
Yeah. I mean, his numbers, we always think of him as a 6th-round pick, I think?
Yeah.
You always think of him as that guy. And he's not. He's an elite player. And because the numbers have never been off the charts, I don't even think he's had a 30-goal season.
No. Yeah. He was never really a goal scorer.
Yeah. So it's just, but he's that important.
But he showed up in big games more so than some of the other guys that were getting paid a lot more money than him.
Exactly.
I think I'll put that out there. And they'll admit it, too.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. All right, here's Coop after last night's loss. Not too pissed. Not a salty Coop.
Challenge facing 3 times, or that same team 3 times in a week like you did with them.
I don't know. Just not much of a challenge, I don't think. It's probably better. Like, at least you know what's coming. So I didn't think that was a challenge. Challenge has been the 16 games in the month of March. That's been a challenge.
Yeah.
And, we've played the most games since the All-Star break. So, we were, we had multiple games in hands on teams, and now those same teams have multiple games in hands on us. So it's been a tough stretch for the boys. But I don't know, 3 and 5 nights, it's not a challenge. It's the same team.
Is that what
probably makes it easier, to be honest.
Is that what kind of leans to some of these 5 to 7 minute stretches where the game just kind of gets away from you too quick?
Oh, I don't know. That happens in games when you play somebody for the first time in 4 months.
I'm sorry, the 16 games you played.
I don't know. We just put it in a nutshell. Really liked our first period, and I liked probably the first 8 minutes of the 7 minutes of the second period. We had the game under control. We scored that second goal when they'd had a couple chances, and we come back and score that second goal. It's 2-0, and then probably a little inexcusable to give a goal up off a face-off right away. That should have never happened, and that just kind of triggered their momentum, and then they rolled. And then it was just senseless turnovers and managing the puck. I mean, we couldn't get through the neutral zone, and it wasn't Jersey didn't reinvent the wheel. Like, we just smashed the wheel ourselves. It was horrendous, and they just ended up in the back of our net. And all of a sudden, now you're up 2-0, down 3-2 in a span of 6 minutes, and they started feeling it, and we weren't, and that was it.
The second periods this year, is that anything that has you concerned, or is this just a couple of games?
I don't know. I could give you a bunch of second periods that we've just completely leaned on teams. So it's 82 games. So we're not going to dominate every game, and it's we've been on the right side of a lot of games more than not, and this is disappointing because I just hate the way the game played out because I thought we were our worst enemy, and then we gave a pretty young, fast-skilled team a lot of energy, and they were feeling it, and that was it for us. But if I'm going to big picture this and sit here and say we played Jersey 3 times in 5 nights and got 4 or 6 points, then we're taking that. if you asked me that at the beginning. But, you get 4, you want to be a little greedy and give Jersey credit. They lost 3 straight, and they blew a 2-0 lead in the third period last night, so they came out a little hungry, and credit to them and their coach for having them going.
There's just we played a lot of hockey. His mind has to be right now where this team is in terms of the playoffs, right? Where are they? And I think he mentioned it later on in the interview.
Yeah, I think I got it back here, actually.
Okay.
Let me see.
But like I said, it had happened a shift or two before we scored. They were, buzzing around a little bit, and so you think, you get that second goal. It should have worked in our favor, but credit to them, they scored right away, and we made a couple poor plays there, and they scored. So what should have been a positive swing for us actually turned into a negative.
A number of video tributes over the years, but tonight just seemed a little bit different.
Yeah, these are tough. Oh my God, you're like an emotional train wreck. It's pretty cool though, because it fosters up a ton of great memories, and how important Pally was to this organization. And I forgot it was in the upper 700s of games he played for us, and the countless playoff games, and he raised a couple cups with us. He's you've heard me say this a ton. There's a lot of great players have wheeled through this organization, but if you talk about importance to a franchise and what they brought during the biggest times and biggest games and the biggest moments, that was Andre Palat.
The rotation you've been doing with the defense here, where maybe a couple guys sit out, like what's the hope here and the accomplishment that you want to get from having that rotation?
We're trying to find some synergy, but most importantly, we're trying to win games.
There it is.
That's it.
What do you say to the guy? You just mentioned the schedule, but this week still doesn't really let up.
Oh no, we're in it. Like this isn't like that's why it's not an excuse. All the teams are playing a bunch of games, but it's just been this little stretch after the All-Star games. It's and it didn't get helped out by the added game because of the postponement in Buffalo. So that added to that string of back-to-backs for us. But we just got to weather our way through it. And I think before tonight I don't know, Eric, you're gonna get me, but I think we'd had 11 of 14 points or something. So a little hiccup here, but let's strap the boots back on and go to Montreal and get some more points.
Coop's got such a great grasp of where his team's mentality is at, and I think he knows when to push him, when to crack the whip, and when to hug him. And I think he feels like, when he had to sit down Cooch and Stamkos and Braden Point, he knew that was time to crack the whip. It's like, okay, we know it's, you guys are feeling sorry for yourself. You're playing a lot of hockey. You're waiting for the playoffs. I get it, but this is unacceptable. We can't continue to develop these bad habits. And when we get to and think we're just going to flip the switch, we've got to start playing better. We've got to start getting better results right now. And I think the team responded in that way, as they reeled off 3 in a row until last night. So okay, fine. Now this game comes. You beat them 2 out of 3 again. You took 4 out of 6 points from a very good New Jersey team. You're not, and this one was a stinker. It wasn't good. Okay, fine. File it. Let's go get some points in Montreal. And they got schedule eases up a little bit. They're going to have 2 days off for the first time in I think a month. So that it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot. They be able to get into practice and be able to correct some things. So, again, and I think what he said about the D pairs, he's trying to find some synergy there. That's my biggest concern right now, is we're still trying to figure out what these D pairs are. Is Radish going to be part of the top 6? I think he's auditioning for that now. This isn't just a reward for what he's done at the AHL level. He's auditioning for that now. Is there a pairing? And I think they're still looking for that right now. And the defensive lapses are unacceptable. They're just unacceptable, and they're just getting too few. Too many. There's just too many, and they've just got to straighten that out.
Yeah, and when they face a quick team like that, if the Lightning really try to just go through the motions and everything, it doesn't work out against these quick teams like that. That'll get them. What are you looking at here?
Is that Baker Mayfield in the Bucs locker room?
Yeah. The Bucs just posted a little thing here. Let's bake.
Let's bake.
Let's bake with a little hello from Baker Mayfield.
Can we play that audio?
Hair looks really good, by the way. On Mr.
Hair's
Baker.
on point today.
Yeah,
He's got a press conference.
It's like 6 seconds. I'm sure he just says hello.
Yeah, well, whatever. I want to hear. I'm just looking at him with the Bucs logo in the background. It just looks weird.
It does look very weird.
It looks weird. That's Baker Mayfield.
Hey, Bucs fans, Baker Mayfield here. Just signed the contract, ready to get to work. Happy to be here. Let's get it.
Short and sweet. There you go.
Never thought I'd be a Baker Mayfield fan. I'll take that back. When he came out, I was a Baker Mayfield fan. I watched him in college. I liked the edge that he played with. Everybody lost their mind when he planted a flag, after a game, and I like the edge that the guy plays with. You've got to cultivate that. I mean, like Tom Brady had an edge to him, right? But it was a good edge because he won Super Bowls. When you're Baker Mayfield and you're losing games in Cleveland, it's a bad edge, right? So I like his competitiveness. I like his fire. I like his ability. I wish he was 3 inches taller.
I was going to say, where's the knock here?
Yeah,
where's the knock here on the $4 million man?
Yeah, I mean, the contract's right. And when you look at this season as, because let's not forget not the main objective, but one of the objectives is we got to eat $35 million that Brady dumped on us because he didn't want to, sign that extra a year deal, whatever. So we got to eat that. Never thought we'd be able to get Jamel Dean back. Never thought Levante would come back. Both of those things have happened. That we've done. We got Anthony Nelson back. Steny is a nice piece. A good, experienced offensive lineman. You lose Mike Edwards. Okay, we can replace him in the draft. He wasn't all that. He was okay. He wasn't great.
Yeah, and I'm not bothered by Bunting in the slightest.
Yeah, if you draft Barnes, you upgrade. Bunting is just a guy. He's just a guy. He's nothing special. We can find a corner in the third or fourth round. Zion McCollum might be better if he was bad. I get it, but he's also was in way over his head coming from Sam Houston State. Let's give him some time, all right, to become a pro. So I mean, all in all, this team is way better off than I thought they would be.
Yeah, I will say
going in $60 million on over the cap.
I will say that. I said that, and we still got to see what the draft holds, but I believe I said a couple months ago that Jason this is probably his stiffest test so far is going to be maneuvering through this offseason in the salary cap constraints. Being able to bring Jamel Dean at a discount. I thought we were past the days of Bucs players. I thought when Tom Brady exited the building, didn't you think that the days of Bucs players taking discounts to come back had gone? I thought that was over with. But Jamel Dean comes back. He probably could have gotten at least $4 or $5 million more on the open market per year.
Easily
comes back because he loves Todd Bowles. So we can put that narrative to bed now.
Yep.
Even Levante David for the money he got for a 1-year deal, and I know a lot of that is he just wants to play one more year, finish his career in Tampa Bay. But still, if he would have wanted to, I'm sure he could have gotten at least $12 million from another desperate team compared to some of the other linebackers that got deals around him that aren't even close to his skill level.
Yeah.
And then you're able to kind of bring back, and I told you already, I'm not crazy about the Anthony Nelson thing because I just wanted a little bit more athleticism, but whatever. You were able to bring back the guys clear that you prioritize. So I say, and you get a quarterback for really cheap. Given the constraints that you had, Jason to me at the moment gets an A.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep, I agree. And we'll see what comes up in the draft. All right, back to the Lightning real quick. So this weekend was the alumni weekend. Great event on Friday night. Fantastic stories. Espo, Marty, and Vinny go in into the inaugural Hall of Fame. They dropped the puck Saturday night. They had the blue carpet. Fans, the players were so good with the fans all weekend long. The season ticket members were a big part of the Friday night event as well. I had Brian Boyle come in, the intermission report at Lightning Vision, and we had one of our stage managers was new, and we have a microphone there for guests when they come in, but it's not a wireless microphone. It needs to be plugged in. So she set it up on the table, and Brian Boyle comes in, and he just picks up the microphone, and I'm starting to ask him questions, and I look over, and the microphone's not plugged in. I'm like, uh-oh, and we're live on camera at this point. And I'm like, okay. And I looked down, and the cord was in the holder. So I'm like, oh, hold on one second, Brian. Evidently, the boys played a practical joke on you. Let me plug that microphone in. That's not a wireless mic. So I plugged it in, and we went on with the interview, and it was fine. So he was great. Brian was great, and he was, he's played for a lot of teams. And I asked him that question. I'm like, you've played for a lot of teams. You only played 3 years here. He goes, and I said, well, it sure feels like you're one of ours, and we're glad to see you healthy and happy and looking great. 'Cause obviously he battled cancer as well. And he said, nah, this is it, man. This is the greatest 3 years of my career. We're here without question. This is the most amazing organization. They just do it differently here. This is why all the guys come back. This is the way Mr. Vinnick set up the whole weekend. And the Lightning people, John Franzone, my boss, and the Lightning Vision and it just executed to perfection, as always. No expense spared. This is why guys love to come play in Tampa Bay. This is why everybody in the league wants to come play in Tampa Bay. This is why guys take less money to come play in Tampa Bay. Jeffrey Vinnick has created a culture, and Steve Griggs and all the great people that work in marketing and hockey operations, Julien Brisebois, everything. They've done it so right. And they've created this tremendous culture. And people, I think fans think like, well, isn't it like this everywhere? No, it's not. It's not even close. It takes a special owner to make that commitment to excellence in everything they do across the board for fans, for players, for everybody. And that's why there's been 350 consecutive sellouts or wherever the hell we're at this particular point. And it's amazing. And this alumni weekend was a reminder of what this team has accomplished in 30 years. Like the list of teams that have won 3 cups in the last 30 years is 3 long, I think, right? Chicago,
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
In the last 30 years?
Last 30 years, yeah.
Detroit, Colorado.
Maybe Colorado's go back to the early 90s. No, I'm thinking about since the Lightning won their first cup, since the year 2000. I think it's only three teams.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been elite.
Yeah, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and the Lightning.
Yeah, it's been elite. And it's not stopping anytime soon. It's not stopping. So I think this weekend was a great celebration of a franchise that I don't think there's any question. There's no franchise, maybe in professional sports, that has done more in their first 30 years than the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I know, and just to hear like a lot of these guys who I hadn't thought about in a long time, and I had no idea like they were still living here. Like Ryan Malone, for example.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Ryan Malone was still living in Tampa.
Why wouldn't you?
I guess I just hadn't connected that. But he was like, yeah, we love it here. Like we're not going anywhere else. And you see Ryan Callahan come back and Brian Boyle. I mean, those two. I wish those guys. I don't know if Callahan just missed when they got the first cup, I believe. Right.
Yeah, I
believe
think he did. Yeah.
I hate that that he wasn't able to get a cup with Tampa Bay. I hate that Boyle wasn't able to get it. I mean, I saw Ben Bishop. Haven't seen him here in a while. That 2015 team to me, like, narrowly missed, I would have loved to see that group get it. But other than that, it seems like every, great generation of player, I mean, even the first one with Vinny and Marty and Brad, they were able to get the cup. And then now the current version of Lightning gets 2. We'll see if they get a third. It's amazing that in 30 years they've been able to do that. In a market that's not traditional for hockey.
Exactly.
And if you go back, and I was actually thinking about this weekend when I saw this great event they were putting on. This is a franchise that about 12 years ago was probably at the bottom of sports franchises in all of sports. No, it's 12 years ago, and all of a sudden it's world class. It's that quick how it changed.
Yeah, and that's it's hard to do that at professional sports. Folks.
And I love too how they were able to incorporate the older players that played in the 90s. Like Terry Crisp was here; he was entertaining as all hell on the broadcast with all his stories.
Oh, my God, so good.
Obviously, Brian Bradley, great friend of the show, and some other guys that played on those teams. Because I feel like that era of the Lightning gets lost a lot in memory. Mm-hmm. And I understand because it wasn't a very prosperous time necessarily, but still as important.
Yeah. And speaking of Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay is trending now on Twitter, Visit Tampa Bay just put this out. Just a reminder that Tampa Bay was named the best place to live in Florida by Forbes magazine. And Time magazine just included City of Tampa as its list of greatest places in the world. Tampa Bay.
I saw that. I'm not thrilled.
Hey, me neither. I'm done with this.
I'm like, stop giving us all this pub.
Yeah.
Please. No. I can't do it.
Did you see all the spring break shenanigans that's going on in Miami? Another shooting last night.
I heard they were on like curfew or
yeah,
something.
the curfew. Midnight,
oh my goodness!
Midnight
I have
curfew.
to just put this out. I can't believe
that doesn't happen in Tampa Bay.
No, and I had to
Thank
point
God.
this out, by the way, because you know me. I've only been on. This was like my second time flying ever, and I had never been. I'd never been in the air side of Tampa International. Everybody talks about Tampa International like it's like the best airport on the planet.
It is, bar none.
My goodness. I have to say I agree now.
Yeah.
Because I was in a bunch of airports this weekend. I was in Tampa.
Yeah.
I was in Miami for far too long.
Awful.
And Antigua. The Miami airport is disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. Miami in general is disgusting. If you ask me.
I literally felt like I needed to shower immediately after I got out of Miami airport. It was disgusting. And then I came to Tampa airport and everything was so nice and pristine. I understand now when people say that Tampa International is that.
I just don't want Tampa to become Miami.
I don't either.
And this is it just kind of happens that way because we're so close. Everything that happens in Miami kind of comes this way. Although, I don't know. Everything that happens in California eventually comes to the rest of the United States, which is horrible. If that's where it's going, we have no shot whatsoever. So I hope that trend stops. And Miami is just a disaster on so many levels. And the traffic here in Tampa, how much worse has the traffic gotten in the last 6 months?
Oh, my.
It's awful.
I mean, I told you that my mom had to drive me today to work.
Yeah.
And she was like, she couldn't believe the route that I have to take to come to work and how long it takes and all the traffic that you hit. I mean, there's very rarely any spots where you just have nice free, you're just driving normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
From a morning commute.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Stop moving here, people. We need to start putting in some negative PR that's not true. We just need to start trashing our own city.
Please.
Don't move here. It's terrible. It's always hot.
It smells.
It smells. It's terrible. It's just we've been talking about it. It's been a hidden gem for a long time, and now it's not hidden anymore. No.
It's no longer.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Oh, I get a couple comments in here real quick. Richie P said, "Good job on that mic situation. I was at the game, and it was an awesome experience. My wife was like, man, the Rays don't do this. I couldn't agree with her more." Well, the Rays have a Hall of Fame this year, though. They're trying.
Are they doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Are they?
Yeah, Wade Boggs is going in to the Hall of Fame, and Carl Crawford, and Don Zimmer. So
yeah, and they're
trying.
It's funny because we mentioned that last year. They never do an alumni game. They treat their alumni like crap.
Yeah, and now this year they're going through with it.
They don't have affordable tickets. Now they have $10 tickets.
I think they're trying. I think they've started to maybe. I don't know, whoever came to the realization as, you know what, we're a little disconnected from our fan base. Why don't we kind of try to fix that a little bit? It seems like they're trying to take steps with that.
I guess they're keeping Stu out of the meetings, or I don't know what they're doing, but I hope maybe somebody finally stood up to him and said, hey, man, we're going about this all wrong. Stop fighting the people and join the fans. You might find out that it's a better experience for everybody. Start really doing what you need to do for the fans.
So you get the Hall of Fame experience, right? You got the cheaper tickets this year. That's two big things. And then the third big thing, I know this thing doesn't matter to you as much, but there are people like me who are big on uniforms. The fact that they're going to wear those Devil Ray uniforms 14 times this year.
Yeah.
And on opening day is a big deal because the fans have been longing for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm telling you,
they're
listening.
definitely listening to
their
listening. Fans. Listening to us or the fans. One of the two. We're the voice of the fans anyway. So, we're, it's symbiotic.
Lonnie's not positive. The Rays will make a bootleg exhibit for it since it'll get demolished in 4 years. LOL.
Oh, for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, don't put too much into it, and then make sure you can move it to the.
Listen,
to the
I'm just
place.
happy that Wade Boggs is because again, it's you would have never known unless you just look out in the outfield and you see his number with the 12. You'd probably have to ask yourself, "Oh, did that guy actually play for the Rays?" You would never know.
Wade Boggs?
Yeah, because they never acknowledge it.
Well, as much as I like them to acknowledge their roots, is when you think about a Rays Hall of Fame, and I love Wade. Should Wade Boggs be in a Rays Hall of Fame? He played, 1 year? 2 years?
But I have to think, and again, you were around at the time, so let me know. Does Wade Boggs and Fred McGriff, did that add a level of credibility to a new franchise, having those two guys there?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, but it also felt ceremonial.
And the fact that he got his 3,000 hit, that moment is there.
Look, I don't hate it, but, I think there's probably players that have been here longer. And that's
Well,
the whole
Carl
thing.
Crawford. I mean, they're going to start with that.
Yeah, and the whole thing is we don't hold on to players long enough to have them in longevity.
No,
Hall
but
of
I
Fame,
think you have a handful of guys like Carl Crawford is definitely one of those.
Yeah,
Longoria, James Shields, David Price, Ben Zobrist. I feel like those guys will eventually come. I mean, you have some guys there, and even on this current team right now, probably along the way.
But yeah, I'm okay with Boggs because of
I'm all
his
for
career and the fact that he's from Tampa Bay, his career, and he got the 3,000th hit here. You know, there aren't that many milestone memories in Ray's history, and that's definitely one of them. So yeah, why not? It's fine. I'm fine with it. But you know, we also need to recognize some of those players as well, and hopefully we will down the way. Lonnie says Dave Wills should be put in the Rays Hall of Fame this year. Yeah, I mean, who's more synonymous with Rays baseball than Dave?
I still can't get out. I thought about that randomly last week, and I was just like, what the frick, man?
Yeah.
I was like,
and
really?
And congratulations to Neil Sola. It's an
Absolutely.
obvious choice to move up there and do his gig. And well deserved for Neil, and he'll do a great job with that. No, it's beyond, you know, it's beyond comprehension. It's happened so quick.
I know. And I think, what is it against? Is it April 20th or something like that against Chicago, which I believe he was an announcer with the White Sox before, so they're going to honor him pregame. So that's going to be great. But, yeah, I'm getting Rays fever already. I'm getting Rays fever.
Yeah, you know.
I'm in it now.
Yeah, well, watching the World Baseball
Baseball Classic, we got to get to that.
Yeah, let's take a break. We're going to come back and talk about the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, we've got lots more to get to. We're going to talk about the NBA. Definitely not talking about the NBA. NCAA tournament.
Far more entertaining basketball.
Which has been really, really entertaining. And just how the freaking USF women got jobbed. I was angry watching that game. I was angry watching that game. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo is going to join us at 11:45. Talk about medical procedures that you may need to go out of the country for. He knows a lot about that, where you should go and where you should not. So we'll do that as well from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Stay with us. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements. but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Don't forget to get your insurance checkup. They can save you thousands of dollars. They shop all the different companies, dozens and dozens of companies that they represent, know are good companies, so you don't get with some fly-by-night operation that's not going to pay out your insurance. Something insurance companies are doing more. I've heard some horror stories about home insurance down from Hurricane Ian, that the adjusters go in there and they go, this should be $200,000. Insurance company comes back and says, we'll give you 28. Take it or leave it, or we'll go to court. And so you're sitting there trying to fix your roof and get your house so you can live in it again, and they want to take you to court for years and years until, you might win in court, but it'll take you so long that you're eventually going to have to sign off on the money to get your house livable again. How horrible is that? The world we live in right now. So what I'm saying is get Italiano Insurance. They know the companies that don't do that crap, and they'll make sure that you're not with companies like that. Even if you get a lower rate for a company like that, what good is it, right? So they'll do that for you. Make sure you're with good companies that are going to pay out when we need it the most, and they'll get you the best price as well. So no reason to do all that research yourself. They already know this and will save you the money. So give them a call, 813-877-7799, and please tell them JP sent you. Let them shop your insurance. They can save you a lot of money. Auto insurance, everything. Some of the comments coming in here from our great comment board, which you, by the way, can get on if you go to the YouTube or Facebook page and pop right in there, and we will put up some of them. It's from Lonnie Wilkins. I grew up with family in Largo and Indian Rocks. It's ridiculous how overcrowded all of this is. Tampa Bay is the working class region. Miami is a dump. Tampa Bay has the best airport. Yeah, it's so true. When you drive in Pinellas County, since they don't have an interstate, so to speak, and most of it east-west, it's just hard to get around. It takes 45 minutes to go 7 miles. I know. I don't like driving in Pinellas County. I really don't. And Hillsboro's getting the same way.
I was about to say, I don't like driving anywhere in Hillsboro either.
Yeah, which makes it more important to live close to where you work.
Where's the comment down here about the WBC?
I don't know. When you find it,
there
pop
it is.
up.
Eric, because I wanted to talk about the WBC. The WBC has been such a breath of fresh air. The stands are full of silent corporate drones. The players give a damn. Plus, it's made guys like Randy the stage to be a national superstar. I tell you what, last week I saw the Edwin Diaz injury happened, right?
Yeah.
And everybody lost their mind. This is why you don't play a meaningless tournament before the season. And I just it happened after the game was over. It was a celebration. And they pulled, I think, all the players and all those teams, especially, all those countries. And most of them said that they thought that was bigger to them than the World Series.
Yes.
It would have meant more for them to win that for their country than the World Series. And you could see the emotion. Isn't that what we've been asking for when it came to baseball? Fun, emotion.
Look at that game last night in Miami. First of all, that stadium, when it's full like that,
it's perfect.
Looked great.
It did.
Oh my! With the big glass doors.
Yeah,
in the back,
last week when they had Puerto Rico versus Dominican Republic. Oh my gosh! They had what they put 50,000 people in there.
Yeah.
And then USA Venezuela on Saturday. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You want to talk about taking me on an emotional swing for 4 hours? By the way, did anybody complain that we had a 4-hour baseball game? Did anybody complain? Never wanted it to end. Not when it's that emotional driven.
No.
And Trey Turner, my goodness.
A grand slam to win it.
Grand slam to win it.
And then 2 home runs yesterday as we pounded Cuba.
It's quite the 9-hole hitter, no?
Yeah. DeRosa, the manager, is like, what idiot batting him in the 9-hole? Well, there you go. Worked out pretty well. Yeah, some of these lineups are just ridiculous. They look like all-star lineups, which is what they are.
Yeah.
No, and the emotion that these teams are bringing, it's so good.
Yeah, I will go as far as to say. By the way,
this just in. Have you ever heard of baseball players getting hurt in spring training?
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Why does nobody understand
And
that
that's
part of it?
actually meaningless.
It's
Like literally,
completely meaningless.
I just don't understand. It's like you want emotion, and here's the most emotionally driven like tournament you could possibly have. It's countries. It's like the Olympics for baseball, and you're gonna tell me it's meaningless.
It's not meaningless.
Like
it's not meaningless
really?
at all.
It's not meaningless. And by the way, everybody's been begging for like the best players in the U.S. to like play in this tournament for a long time. And have you looked at the lineup? $300 million man is hitting in the 9-hole. Pete Alonso's on the bench.
Right.
Like you have all these stars that are on the bench. I understand the pitching staff. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But look at the lineup for crying out loud. And now you're going to tell me you're not interested? And by the way, you're all lying because the ratings are high as they've ever been. And here's something that's really crazy to me. How many people are in Japan, do you think? What's the population of Japan? I know Tokyo is like 39 million. Look up that real quick. Japan population.
I want to say, I don't even want to guess because I'll be so wrong.
Because this next thing I'm about to say is just completely wild to me.
2020 population is 126 million.
Okay, 126 million in Japan. 61% of the televisions in Japan were tuned into their last game, Japan. Whoever, I forgot who they played, but their last game, 61% of televisions were tuned in, and in Puerto Rico it was 50%. So don't tell me that this is a meaningless tournament, please.
Do you know what this is doing for the popularity of baseball on a worldwide basis?
And Great Britain, by the way, for Great Britain too, they said that this is going to have a nice spike because
We had Paul Stewart on last week, and he used to play in the British leagues as one of the better players. He said this year there's not one player on that Great Britain team that has spent a minute on Great Britain soil.
Oh no!
They're like one's mother was born in Hong Kong, or grandmother was born in Hong Kong.
Well, there's a lot of examples of that with the World Baseball Classic.
If you have any connection to any of their, still loosely held colonies, even now you can get on that team. So it's like I think there's 2 players from their British league that are actually on the bench and not play. It's ridiculous. But anyway, go ahead.
But my point though is actually because in Antigua, which I didn't know this, is a Commonwealth of Great Britain. So most of the people that were actually with me on the resort were all from England.
Yeah.
And so I was actually curious because I was just like, I was telling Casey, I was like, you think anybody here gives a damn about the World Baseball Classic? And so I started asking people a little bit, and I actually was surprised. There was a lot of people that said, like, yeah, we're keeping tabs on it. We're kind of watching it a little bit. And they said, like, otherwise, like, some of them had no idea what baseball was.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They won a game. They stole a game. And I guess they said that there was a spike in popularity there. But my point is, like you said, from a worldwide perspective, the game of baseball is going to be as popular as it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's nice to me that it's before the season because it generates some excitement than these boring spring training games.
Well, I'll be interested to, we'll have Kyle Tucker on the show when he gets back.
He was a star on Saturday night, by the way.
Yeah, and we got two guys from Tampa, which is, by the way, 2 guys from Tampa, Pete Alonso and Kyle Tucker, on the American USA World Baseball team that's going to the finals. Nothing in the Times about it at all. Like there's a story about Rodney Linares costing the Dominican Republic, because he's connection to the Rays. Why are they not? I don't understand. USA's doing good in something. We beat 2 communist countries, and now nobody wants to talk. Maybe that's it. It's too pro-American.
I heard something.
It's too pro-American.
Speaking of the Cuba last night, I heard that there was there was one player. So they arrived back in Cuba today, and I guess one of the players, a catcher, he stayed back at the hotel and didn't go on the plane. And now, obviously, it's a whole thing in Cuba. He's been labeled a deserter, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes out. But that was crazy. I heard that story last night.
Horrible person.
That if you defected from Cuba in a certain way, you weren't welcome to play on the team. If you've ever spoken out against the government, you weren't welcome to play on the team. And then there was a handful of players who said, I don't even want to represent them. So the only 2 major leaguers were Luis Robert and Yohan Moncada.
Yeah, look at Rosarena is a Mexican.
Rosarena, I didn't even know that story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was hoping for like the U.S. to lose because he really wanted to play them.
Yeah.
And get back at them.
Yeah. Cuba. Yeah, of course. It's a communist country. This is where America's heading, by the way, with all the censorship that we have here. By the way, if you're paying attention. So if that's what you want,
it was just crazy. It was crazy stories, but
and this is why it's a big. When there were a lot of Cuban protests outside of the stadium in Miami last night, and we took it to Cuba, That felt pretty good. I ain't gonna lie to you.
We did take it to him a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, and that's fine.
And-
That's just fine with me.
Yeah, but also too, I've been keeping track on like all the Rays, and Randy's been the player of the freaking tournament. My good, does anybody else in Major League Baseball show up for a big game like a Randy Arozarena?
No.
My goodness, it's like he wakes up for this kind of stuff.
And people are saying, I think we even had a comment today. Oh, we got to sign him to a long-term contract. I got news for you. Scott Boras is his agent. That's never going to happen today. That's never going to happen.
I told you though, Randy Arozarena is the most popular Rays player in the mainstream, and this week has affirmed that.
Oh my God, yes.
By far.
He's a Cuban guy that lives in Tampa Bay, plays for the Rays.
His family all lives in Mexico.
And now because that's where they defected to. Now he's the biggest star in Mexico.
Yes.
In Mexico, and he spent probably 20 days there in his life, maybe, or it might have been longer because that's where he had to go.
It's an incredible story that I really just wasn't aware of.
No, three times he had what, failed attempts to raft or get on boat to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then finally made it.
Yeah,
and look at like the catcher. Here's that catcher is going to probably make millions and millions of dollars playing baseball in America, and his life in Cuba would be nothing but poverty-stricken playing baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Havana, folks, and I've seen what goes on in Cuba, and it's deplorable.
Yeah.
It is horrible for the people that live there. Even to this day, 60 years of communist rule, and it's just awful.
It's crazy.
It's awful.
But either way, though, this is going to be a huge win for the WBC because you got USA's in there with all the talent, and then Japan versus Mexico, I believe, is today.
Yeah.
So imagine you get Ohtani, because Ohtani is probably going to pitch, I'd assume, if they get to that title game.
Yeah.
And then you finally
he's available to pitch.
He's available to pitch
out of the bullpen.
Yeah, Ohtani and Trout. Imagine them on like the biggest stage together. Finally, can you imagine that? USA Japan. That seems perfect to me. Or even if Mexico gets in there, USA Mexico. This has been great.
Yeah. So who's going tonight? It's Japan's. How do you say?
Japan and Mexico.
Rocky Sasaki.
Oh my goodness, this guy.
Is it Roki or Rocky?
Roki Sasaki. This guy, you have to watch.
He's got to change the pronunciation to Rocky.
You have to watch this.
Rocky
dude.
Sasaki.
Did you see him pitch last week?
No, I did not.
You got to watch him tonight. He's 21 years old and he throws like 102. He throws absolute gas. Baseball's next great ace, right there. There it is. This guy is unbelievable. He is going to be.
He's already in the discussion for the title of best pitcher in the world.
Yes, he's unbelievable. You got to watch him tonight. I think he's better than Ohtani pitching. I'm not kidding. I just hyped him up like crazy.
National record broke the fastest pitch ever thrown by a high schooler 4 years ago. Japan's tuning in to watch their team is 5-0 in the tournament. Sasaki threw 3 2/3, struck out 8. What? Struck out 8 and allowed 1 unearned run against the Czech Republic. What is Czech Republic? Czech line consisted of 1 former major leaguer. Okay, so
Rays legend Eric Sogard.
Yeah,
but he's. I'm telling you though, he's unbelievable to watch.
And Mexico is just. So they've got a Rosarena and who else?
Isak Paredes hits in the 5-hole now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Rowdy Tellez, Randy Rosarena, Julio Urias is also on that team.
Yeah, they got some good players.
Yeah. All right. So, but we're thinking it's going to be.
You think it's probably going to be USA and Japan?
But you never know.
And that would be perfect from a rating standpoint. My goodness.
Or it'll be Mexico, USA.
That would be great too.
Wow, a border clash.
A border clash.
Let me go down that rabbit hole.
No, let's not.
We'll get the cartels involved. Yeah. There'll be some betting going on. Yeah, that'll be fun. Where would that game be played? In Miami? Everything in Miami now?
I hope everything's in Miami. I don't want them to ever leave that stadium. If they're going to play the World Baseball Classic, Miami felt like the perfect spot for it, actually.
It really does. It really does.
And there was a lot of excitement, I will say, in the airport.
You don't want to bring
everywhere.
him to the Trop?
Oh, it's a hard sell. It's not quite the Tokyo Dome.
It kind of looks like the Tokyo Dome, though. They're very similar. They're very similar.
Hey, I did want to get this in here because we said we would get a little bit of college basketball. And this from a local scene. If you haven't heard the news, it looks like Mike Bray, yes, former Notre Dame head coach.
How about that?
Looks like he's set to be the next head coach for South Florida men's basketball.
Well, Coach Zimroth, they mentioned him last week and said it would be, if he could find somebody, that would be his top pick. Because I think he does have some connections in Florida. I don't know.
Well, Z was right on the money there.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, he always is. From 2000 to 2017, we went to 12 NCAA tournaments. Bray said at a news conference, since 2018, we've been to one. And I think this is from when he got fired or what have you. But, yeah, I mean, this guy's got a proven track record. And I wouldn't put him in the retread bucket because he had how much success. He won 15 tournament games. Notre Dame went to back-to-back Elite Eights in 2015 and 2016. So, yeah, I would have to say this is the biggest name coach that they've ever had there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, Seth has got a big name now, but that's more ESPN generated than it was when he first came here. And they did well. I mean, Seth and Coach Z, they won 20 games a couple times, I think. 19, 20 games a couple times. So, yeah.
It's major, though. You want to be viable.
That's a big deal.
You want to be a major player from a recruiting standpoint. This is going to be huge as well because this area is, like, begging to be recruited really good in basketball. And I think Mike Bray can do that. So I'm surprised, though, by this because I was just like, where did USF find the money for this one?
Well, maybe they realized when they missed out on Dion that they've got it's time to step up. You want to be a big boy player in athletics, you got to pay big boy money. You got to act like you're a serious athletic department. And this is a serious move.
Yeah, this feels like a statement move.
This is a serious move. It ain't going to be cheap. And maybe it was, they realized, look, if we want to be big time, we got to pay big time. And so Mike Bray, he stepped down as Notre Dame head coach in January?
His contract came to an end, and he announced that it would be his last year, but he said he definitely wasn't done coaching. It just seemed like it kind of there hasn't been as much success there.
63 years
Notre
old.
Dame lately, so I feel like it kind of had reached the end.
Okay. This is interesting. I got to get more into this, but this is interesting. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Chris Lugo will join us from Bay Area Modern Medical Center, and we've talked about stem cells and going overseas out of the country to get certain medical procedures. Obviously, that has been in the news with what happened down in Mexico. So we'll talk a little bit about that and the usual stuff. If you guys have any questions about your wellness, whether it be nutrition, testosterone replacement therapy, certain drugs, prescriptions you're taking, whatever, let us know. Hit us up in the comment. We'll pass them on to Chris Lugo. Back in 3 with the man from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Stay with us. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. You don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, including this gentleman, Chris Lugo, who is the grand poobah over there, and also a proud member of our U.S. military and National Guard. He's in the Army this week, and he's not. There was a schedule change, so we get to talk to you today, which makes my show much better. What's up, partner? How are you?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
You better unmute yourself. Are you muted?
I am. I'm sorry. Let me unmute. I'm sorry about that. Nope.
Still not hearing you.
Give me 1 second.
This is what happened to me now last week, Nick, once or twice. Can we hear you again? Try now.
Can we try?
Are you muted? Unmuted? Yeah, last week Eric Erlinson did this to me, and he was muted, and I couldn't hear him. Do we got him? We don't got him. Something is awry here, and let's hold on. We're changing some things, touching some buttons, and hopefully your audio will pop up here soon. Give me a mic check.
Check one.
Nope, we're not.
No?
We're not doing.
One, two.
No. We're not getting it.
No, I'm not hearing Chris.
Hey, pop out, Chris, and pop back in, and we'll see if we can get you back on.
Okay.
We'll start our discussion with something that Nick just brought up. That you were obviously overseas in Antigua, and the food that he was eating over there, he was telling me was like so much better, and he felt better. And Chris has an advanced degree in nutrition, so we're going to talk to him about the food overseas, the food in America, and why it's not great, and you really got to do some work to kind of get the good stuff, and it's going to be more expensive, and at times, though, it's going to be worth it because you won't be as sick. And I think this is a very interesting topic, so I hope we can get Chris on to talk about it. Let's try one more time. Go ahead, Chris. Hit us one more time. Nothing. We're getting nothing.
Give me 1 second.
Hold on. He's going to try one more thing here. These are interesting times, folks, when we're doing this by StreamYard and some other things.
It's showing on my end that Chris is muted.
Showing that you're muted for some reason, whatever it is. Well, we could try just doing your regular computer, laptop, take out all your sometimes it's just a little something here or there, and we'll pop it. We'll give it another few seconds. If not, we'll have you on tomorrow, Chris. Is it not working?
Chris, if you can hear me, you're on StreamYard itself, your mic is muted.
For whatever reason.
Is that better now?
I still can't hear you, though.
All right. We'll have to table this for today, Chris, and we'll try to troubleshoot this, and we'll get you back on tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, we'll do that. Okay. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Just happens sometimes in the world that we live in. It's just one little button you got to push on either end, and you can't get audio. Yeah, Eric did that to me last week to start the show. I'm like, I've got everything right here. I pushed all the right buttons, and he's talking to me, and I can't hear him.
I was actually watching
that. Yeah. He's like, oh, sorry, it was me. I had you muted. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Got me going crazy. But it happens. We'll get Chris on tomorrow. So we were just finish your story on this, and we'll tease what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just saying I was obviously in Antigua for 5 days, and we had like one of those all-inclusive packages where you could eat at the restaurant. And for 5 days, I ate all the food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus desserts and all this kind of stuff. And I felt great. My body felt great. I didn't have like upset stomachs, things like that. And me and Casey kept saying like, man, the food really like is a lot better here, like for you.
Yeah.
And the portion control as well, because in USA we have like crazy portions. And the second we got back in the States, we ate like a meal here, and I felt like crap like after like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like my body just like completely went into like shock mode or something. And it's like you hear that all the time about how the food here is actually really bad and like really bad for you compared to other countries.
Well,
and
look
now
how
that
fat we are.
And that's what I'm saying.
When you went overseas, did you see how everybody's not ridiculously fat like we are here?
Yeah, and there's like, it feels like there's more like of a snacking mentality maybe here.
Yeah.
Is what I kind of observed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just really weird. It was really weird. And I've kind of gone into this whole like theory about, you know, all this stuff being connected with like big pharma. Like you eat all this food that's not good for you. Now big pharma benefits, and then so and so. Like somebody's always benefiting and making money off the unhealthiness that's around you.
Yes.
That's kind of like what me and Casey were talking to each other about. Like it's actually really crazy now that I've been out of the country. I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like we came back and it's like I'm not even begging to like eat any food here now. Like I'm really not.
Yeah, and the other story we were talking about, it happened last week. The American tourists that were going down to Mexico that were murdered by the cartels, they were going down there to get a tummy tuck. And a lot of people are having crossed the border to go get medical procedures because they're cheaper. They're easier to do. Some things they can do down there that the FDA won't let you do here. As we've learned from the FDA, they don't necessarily have our best interest in mind in terms of health. It's, you know, they're being they're the regulators on the pharma. And then when guys leave big pharma, they go to regulate the FDA and vice versa. Or when they leave the FDA, when they're regulating them, they get big jobs in pharma. It's all a, it's corruption at the highest level. And they're screwing with our food and our medicine and everything else.
And it wasn't like I was eating, like, because you asked me what type of food I was eating. Was it like fruits and veggies? Like they offered fruits and veggies, and it was kind of like if I wanted fruit, I could have gotten a bowl of fruit.
Right.
But like,
you chose fries anyway.
But like I had 2 hamburgers on the strip,
right,
with fries. I had Cajun fish sticks for one meal. Like I had a steak one night. Like it was kind of like food that like I normally would eat here, but for whatever reason, it went down a lot better.
No, not GMO, not all the other preparations.
Yeah, like I had like pasta too
is
something that usually makes me feel bloated and doesn't agree with me. Like I felt fine after eating pasta. Like it was just really weird.
If you think about it, and Chris will chime in on this tomorrow. The food in the rest of the world, they don't necessarily freeze stuff and we go shopping and everything's in our house for 2 weeks, so it's all preservatives and everything has to be preserved, and this is how they make money in big food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in other countries they go shopping every 2 days. Their refrigerators are smaller. They don't keep stuff for a long period of time. You get fresh food and you eat it. You go get more fresh food and you eat it. And we're in a totally different world here.
I learned so many things. The other thing too I learned, and this is not really about like health, but just in general and observation, we are assholes in America. Boy, like obviously it's no secret. Like we're so divisive on everything. Everybody in Antigua looks like they're just chilling. Like they're just like everybody was so like nice and everything to each other. Like even on the roads, like I was like, I had to like watch this taxi driver for, like I said, like a 45-minute drive, and it stressed me out because I didn't know they drive on the right side of the front and they drive on the left side of the road. So it was like stressing me out completely. And sometimes, and they don't even have like lines like in the middle that differentiate. So they're just weaving, like it's just whatever anybody wants to do.
It's anarchy. Yeah,
they pull out whenever they pull out when a car's like right here, and nobody's like laying on the horn and like getting all pissed off. Like people just let them do it.
Yeah.
And it's like a crazy concept because if you did that here, like there'd be like fights all over the place, like in the road.
Yeah, when I drove in Ireland, they have 3 lanes. They have the right lane, the left lane, and the middle lane. And everybody kind of uses the middle lane at their discretion. Yeah. If there's no big signs like, oh, you can use the middle lane now, you can use the middle lane now. No, it's just there. And everybody you're passing and moving around. And it's not as, here it's like, oh, I'm in my lane and this is my lane. And if you come in, cut me off or whatever.
I don't care if everybody has to merge into this lane. You're not getting in front of me.
Right, exactly.
That's like the mentality.
Yeah. I love the people. Like this happened at the Lightning game last night. People that are trying to get over to the right to make the right at this one particular intersection. Like they're waiting to get over. Somebody lets them in. Then you pull up in front of them and they don't want to let you in.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was like honestly my main takeaway though. We got to be a little nicer.
We really
everybody over there looked like they just had like no issues. Like they were all just chilling.
Well, they're living in Antigua for God's sakes.
That's true.
Living in
That's
Manhattan, when it's concrete jungle everywhere. Lonnie says friends went to Italy and said they're gorging on pasta there and they didn't feel bloated or anything. Yeah, the food is just different. The food is just different in so many ways. And everything we have it's so mass produced. They're not looking out for us. Let's just put it that way. You got to do your own. So we'll look forward to talking to Chris.
And I had to go out of the
this.
country to realize that too.
Yeah, that's why traveling is so important. Get out of our own sphere and learn what the rest of the world is doing. And it'll be interesting. All right, I'm headed over to One Buck Place to welcome in Bucs' new quarterback, Baker Mayfield. This is going to be a very interesting press conference. So we'll see what he has to say and what he's been told about being the starter, this quarterback competition, how that's all going to work out. So that'll be fun. We'll have all that sound and thoughts for you tomorrow. Welcome back. Good to have you back, my friend. And we'll definitely get Chris hooked up tomorrow, and we'll be able to get him on board. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.